Okay, good afternoon. I hope I have seen your assignment last class you have submitted. As PG students, I just wanted to, that's an observation I wanted to make. Your assignment when you are submitting, I think Shweta has submitted in a neat way submission. Even the boy students, Jagan and other people, it should be in a neat paper. It should be neatly written. Okay, assignment submission, that submission gives some impression. Okay, how you submit your assignments. Okay, and another thing, when you write, it should be neatly written. And the problem, I don't know how you have got your because there was a second part of the problem, isn't it? The initial part, it was a base share calculation, and the second part, if this building is converted into a commercial building with additional 2 stories, you come into your this is thing, justify. But I don't think all of you have done that particular part. How the importance factor has become for some of you, it is 0.12, 1.2 and all. Can you tell me? What is the importance factor? How it has become 0.12? I think Shweta and all, I think, isn't it? Do you remember that or you
Yes,
completely
ma'am.
forgot? Ah.
I remember, ma'am. For commercial, it is like 1.2, ma'am.
For commercial,
Important
it is now,
factors.
as per the new code, it is 1.2.
Yes, ma'am. For hospital buildings, it's like 1.5.
Okay. Commercial, it is 1.2.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then
1.2.
mm, okay. But you have written I is equal to 0.12. Check your answers. Okay. Once again, check that particular problem and write and do it neatly also. What happened if you have, if you can do it once again, that particular problem, that if it is converted into a commercial building, because with additional 2 floors, the entire base share calculation will be changing. Okay. So you can repeat that problem once again with a commercial building with the 2 more stories and find out the base share. As a tutorial, you can do it and complete it and compare how much base share difference it is coming from the residential building and the commercial building. Okay. Okay, with that, we have completed the 2 units of your syllabus. Now today we will be moving on to the 3rd unit. So 3rd unit, I'll finish it fast. Within this particular week, we can finish the 3rd unit. Then we will move on to the 4th and 5th unit. Okay. So today I'll just start the 3rd unit. Your 3rd unit starts with discuss with the structural system. Behavior of structural system. Can you see the screen now?
Yes, ma'am.
Development of structural systems, okay, or behavior of structural system. So here in this particular unit, you will be learning about the various structural systems that we are using in the construction of tall structures, and what is the performance of each structural system, what is the advantage, disadvantage of using that, how the structural systems are selected. So all these aspects will be learning in this particular unit. Okay, so before starting that unit, I'll just give a small introduction about that, how the development of structural systems have come into effect. So if you see this, the first generation in the 17th centuries, 1780 to 1850, the exterior walls of these buildings consisted of stone or brick or sometimes cast iron, was added for decorative purposes. Okay. So the most of the ancient buildings were either with stone or brick or with the cast iron. The columns were constructed of cast iron of an unprotected steel, and wrought iron was used for the beams, and the floors were made of wood. So this was the initial first generation buildings. Okay, you can see the home insurance building. So this is all in the 17th century. You can see the pillars will be of cast iron or wrought iron, and all these beams will be of iron, steel, and the floors will be of wooden floors. Okay, and the infills will be usually with either stone or brick. But when we move on to the next generation, 1850 to 1940, the second generation of tall buildings, which includes the Metropolitan Life Building 1909, the Woolworth Building 1913, the Empire State Building 1931. So this was one of the most important building. They are all called framed structures, in which a skeleton of welded or riveted steel columns and beams, often encased in concrete, runs through the entire building. So you can see this is the Empire State Building. So it is a framed structure. The framed structure consists of beams and columns. Okay, and this encased with the concrete. Okay. So this is one type of building that was in the second generation buildings. Now, the third generation buildings, it is 1940 to present. Okay, the buildings constructed from after the World War II until today make up the most recent generation of high-rise buildings. Okay, so the most of the high-rise buildings started during the third generation. Within this generation, there are those of steel framed construction, reinforced concrete construction with a shear wall, steel framed reinforced concrete construction, hybrid systems, which evolved during this time. So these systems make use more than one type of structural system in a building. That means it's a composite type of construction started in the third generation building construction. Okay, so either with the steel or with concrete, or a combination of steel and concrete, shear wall, all such type of buildings, structural systems started from 1940. Okay, so here you can see a triangle with the different structural systems. This we will be discussing in later. Okay, we have framed structure, you have core structure, you have wall, and a combination of frame and wall, combination of wall and core, combination of frame and core. So tubular structures with the frame and tube and wall. So there are different combinations you can see here. This we will be discussing later. Okay, so the different structural systems evolved during the recent time. So now if you take an analysis considering the world's 100 tall buildings in 1990, during this time if you take 80% of the tall structures were located in North America. Out of that, almost 90% were exclusively for office use. More than half of that structures were constructed of steel. Okay, so this was the scenario in the year during the year 1990 and this particular century. Now, if you take another, this is calculation in 2013 for the world's 100 tallest building. When you take the largest, the 43% of the tall structures are now in Asia. Previously, almost all the structures were in North America. Now, if you see the analysis, if you take, the largest share is in Asia. Only one new 200-meter plus building was built in North America in 2013 compared to 54 in Asia. Okay, so this is recently the buildings, the high-rise buildings started coming in Asia region. Less than 50% are exclusively for office use. Almost a quarter are mixed use, and 14% are residential. Previously, if you see in North America during the 1990s, 90% were exclusive for office use. Okay, now 50% office use and 14% is residential, and another a mixed. This is in 2013. Now, if you take 2020, most of the buildings are residential. You can see is equally residential and office use buildings are coming up in 2020 if you take the analysis. Almost half were constructed of reinforced concrete and only 14% of steel. Previous, if you take more than half, more than 50% were constructed of steel. But now if you see, almost half were constructed of reinforced concrete and the steel construction started reducing, but remaining are composite or mixed structural materials. Okay, so there is a change in the material, in the construction, the type of structural systems. There is a shift from the previous years, that is from the 17th century to the 20th, 21st century. There is a, you can see a drastic change in the method of construction, method of structural systems, and the materials that is using. So this particular graph will show you, say 1930, this blue color shows the steel. In 1930, we can see almost 96% was of steel construction and the remaining very small. And slowly when if it is coming to 2000, 2010 and 2013, if you see, the steel construction is only 14%, 46% was of concrete, 36% was of composite structure, and remaining 4% it is mixed, and some unknown materials are also there. Okay, so you can see there's a shift of structural materials also. The composite construction started developing in the 20th and 21st century. Okay. Now, what are the structural concerns? Why we have to go for which structural system has to be adopted? What are the structural concern in taking a structural system? So the primary structural skeleton of a tall building can be visualized as a vertical cantilever beam with its base fixed in the ground. So any tall structure, if you take, we can be analogous to a cantilever, okay, with a fixity at the base and free at the top. So any tall structure is analogous, or this is considered as a vertical cantilever beam. The structure has to carry the vertical gravity loads and the lateral wind and the earthquake load. Okay, so when it is a vertical cantilever, this structure is supposed to carry the gravity load. It can be upward or downward, all the gravity loads as well as the horizontal loads. The horizontal loads can be either due to wind or due to earthquake. Okay, so because of this lateral load, you can see a sway with a tension on this particular side and a compression on the other side of the building. Suppose if the wind direction is in the opposite direction, this side will be a tension side and other side will be a compression side. So the structure will be subjected to both tension, compression, tension. This is if it is a gravity load also, you can see a tension or you can see a compression. So this is a load transfer. The structure will be subjected to both tensile forces and compressive forces. So the gravity loads are caused by dead load, live load. Lateral loads tend to snap the building or topple it. The building must therefore have adequate shear and bending resistance and must not lose its vertical load carrying capability. Okay, the structure, when you choose a particular structural system, it has to have adequate shear. It should resist the bending and it should not lose its vertical load carrying capacity. Okay, you can see here there are different types of load: dead load, live load. If you have a snow load, if it is in a snow area, you have snow loads coming on top of the building. There are impact load. Suppose you know that in America, the two towers with a plane crash, the plane crashed into the building. So that was an impact load. Okay, that was an impact load. Then we have wind load, blast load. So this is like a blast load. Okay, so this is how the plane crashes into the building. It was a blast, and sometimes there will be an impact load, wind load, earthquake load. So these are the different types of loads that is acting on a building. Because of this load, this building will be subjected to a tension or a compression. So it has to carry a vertical load as well as the lateral load. Okay. So the skyscrapers push us down into the ground, but when the wind blows, the columns in the windy side stretch apart and the columns on the other side squeeze us together. That is why a tension on the one side and compression on the other side. Okay. So any structural system, when you adopt, it has to carry both the gravity load as well as the lateral load. Now, fighting gravity. Okay, the weight of the building is supported by a group of vertical columns. You can see here a group of vertical columns. So there are 4 columns here. You can see all the primary beams and the secondary beams here. Okay, and you have a slab over it. So what is that? It has to. What is the purpose of all these structural elements? The weight of the building is supported by a group of vertical columns. Each floor is supported by horizontal steel girders running between the vertical columns. So each column is connected by horizontal beams. Okay, either it is parallel, longitudinal or transverse beams are there. Then curtain walls made of steel and concrete attached to the outside. You can see here all this is connected to the foundation. So these are all the structural members which carries the the vertical load. Okay. The vertical load is carried by all these structural elements. So these elements have to fight for the gravity load. Okay. Now it has to resist wind. The structural system has to resist either first gravity and then it has to resist the wind or earthquake, any lateral forces. So buildings taller than 10 stories would generally require additional steel for lateral system. Okay. So more than 10 story structures, or depending upon, as I told you, when it is a tall structure in that area, the lateral load has to be resisted by additional lateral systems. It can be steel or any other material can be used. The most basic method for controlling horizontal sway is to simply tighten up the structure at the point where the horizontal girders attach to the vertical column. You can see here, this is the column here, this is the beam here. So this beam has to be attached to this column. If it is a steel, it will be attached or connected through a rivet or a bolt or a welded connection. If it is a concrete, through reinforcement, it will be connected. Okay. So the construction screw bolt and the welds on the top and bottom as well as the side. This makes the entire steel superstructure move more as one unit like a pole as opposed to a flexible skeleton. So what will happen when it is connected? Each member, when it is connected to the columns or to the other neighboring elements, the entire vertical system, it will act as a single unit. Okay, it will act as a single unit and it will resist for the lateral force. Okay, that is how it has to be done. Now, for taller skyscrapers, that means if it is a very high tall structures, that means skyscrapers, the tighter connections don't really do the trick. We cannot just like that connect each and every member to the columns. So you can say if it is a 100-story building, how many columns will be there, how many beams will be there, how many other elements will be there. So we cannot sit and connect every member to the connection is more important, but it is not like a 10-story building and a 100-story building. The connections are different. We cannot just like that sit and connect all the members to each one. That will not work here. So to keep these buildings from swaying heavily, engineers have to construct especially strong core through the center of the building. So this is one of the more important. That's why I put it in bold letter. Okay. We cannot connect every member to the columns and do the construction up to the 100-story. So we need to provide a strong core. We can have a core interior. I'll teach you about that in the coming slides. What is a strong core? Through the center of the building. Then the periphery of the core, you have all other elements. It will be connected. Okay. So a core structure is important for high-rise structures to resist the lateral load. So the effect of wind can also be minimized by aerodynamic shaping of the building. You know, as I have told you when we talked about the wind loading, if you study in detail, there are many ways we can minimize the effect of wind. we can shape. The shape of the building plays an important role in minimizing the wind effect. If it is a rectangular building, the effect of wind on the peripheral walls of the building is different. If it is a circular building, that is different. And if you see an aerodynamic shape, what is an aerodynamic shape? It is an aerofoil, like the shape of a plane. Okay. So why that shape of the plane? You know, if you see the fish, the shape of the fish is different. Why? It has to swim in the water. It has to resist that water pressure and it has to move. So the effect of that, so that is why there is an aerofoil shape is there. If you see the shape of the car, okay, that is different. The car shape, how they are modifying the shape. Why the shape of the car is like that? Because it is to resist the wind and it has to move. So the aerodynamic shaping of the building will minimize the effect of wind. Okay. So the wind tunnel testing considers appropriate loading for overall lateral system design and cladding design and predicts the motion, perception and pedestrian level effects. That means the structure before it is constructing, it has to do a wind tunnel testing considering all the appropriate loading, the shape, the cladding design, everything has to be taken into consideration. After the wind tunnel test, only this building can be constructed in reality. Okay. And you can use the damping systems. Damping systems means when there is a vibration, okay, due to the earthquake or due to the wind or due to the heavy any other forces that is coming, if there is much vibration in the vehicle, because I told you this is a cantilever, it is free at the top and it is only fixed at the base. So it is a skeleton structure. It is a flexible structure. The structure can have many vibrations in other elements. So appropriate damping system, the vibration reducing devices has to be introduced in the structural system so that we can reduce the vibration effect. Okay. So as the building becomes taller and the buildings sway due to lateral forces become critical, there is a greater demand on the girders and columns that make up the rigid frame system to carry the lateral forces. That means when there is a heavy lateral forces that is coming, that force becomes the critical force. Then the columns, the girders means the big beams, strong beams. The beams and columns that make up the rigid frame system to carry the lateral forces. Okay. So this is, you can see some examples here, the frame, the beams, columns, steel, the bracing, okay, floor slab. So this is another structural system with, you can see so many trusses. So it's a combination of trusses. You can see here the end bearing member, your plate girder, your angle members. Okay. You can see the framed structures here. Okay. So did you get an idea what is about the structural system? Just tell me a small feedback. Did you understand what is the structural concern? What are all the forces to be considered and how the structural system have to be selected? Is it clear? This part is clear?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Only two are there now. What happened to Shweta?
Shweta do not have a proper network connection.
Is she hearing with you or?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Hmm.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, then I will move on to the next slide. Okay. Now, if we can classification of structural systems, how the structural system can be classified. It can be classified based on the structural material used, such as concrete or steel. So one classification can be based on the material. It can be either concrete or steel or composite, whatever it is. Or structural systems of tall buildings can also be divided into two broad categories like interior structures and exterior structures. So this is the main classification of a tall structure. One is an interior type of structure and another one is called exterior type of structure. Okay, so this classification is based on the distribution of components of the primary lateral load resisting system over the building. Okay, this word is very important. Lateral load resisting system, LLR. Okay, LLR system. Okay. So how the LLR system is nothing but this is the lateral load resisting. Lateral load resisting systems are nothing but all the vertical elements. Okay, when a lateral load is coming, this lateral load has to be resisted by vertical members, isn't it? It is like this. So here, this is your building. So when there is a lateral load coming, what will happen? This vertical element has to resist this lateral load. Okay, suppose if it is a frame like this. So when there is a lateral load coming, actually these columns, okay, these columns will resist the lateral forces, or instead of columns, sometimes it can be a shear wall or it can be some other vertical lateral load resisting systems are there. So the main lateral load resisting elements are the vertical elements in a structural system. Okay, so that is what I was explaining here. It is based on the distribution of the components of the lateral load resisting system over the building. Then a system is categorized as an interior structure when the major part of the LLR system is located within the interior of the building. Okay, the major lateral load resisting system will be located in the interior and outside will be your utility spaces. Okay, if if the major part of the LLR system is located at the building perimeter, then a system is categorized as exterior structure. Okay, if the main load bearing members are at the exterior part and the utility space is in interior, then that type of structure is called exterior structure. We will discuss in the coming slides. It should be noted that, however, that any interior structure is likely to have some minor components of the LLR system at the building perimeter, and any exterior structure may have some minor components within the interior of the building. So we cannot say exactly all the load bearing members are at the interior, and similarly for exterior all the LLR elements are the exterior. We cannot say that. Some minor components will be in the interior as well as in the exterior part of it. Okay, so the major classification is interior type of structure and the exterior part of structure. Interior type of structure is nothing but the major part of the lateral load resisting systems are located at the interior of the building, whereas exterior type of structures means the major part of the load bearing members are at the perimeter, at the exterior of the building. Okay, so this is the other classification of structural system. So you can see an example here. Okay, so say this here. This is an interior type of structure. Okay, interior by clustering steel columns and beams in the core. You can see a pink color here. Okay, so this is the core. So this core is located at the interior, and the exterior part of it is the utility space. Okay, in the core. So this is called core. Okay, engineers create a stiff backbone that can resist tremendous wind forces. The inner core is used as an elevator shaft. So this particular core can be used as an elevator shaft, and the design allows lots of open space on each floor. Okay, so each floor you can see the open space. So this is one type of structures that is called interior type of structures. Now if we come to the exterior, you can see the red. In new skyscrapers like Sears Tower in Chicago, engineers moved the columns and beams from the core to the perimeter, creating a hollow, rigid tube as strong as the core design, but weighing much less. Okay, so when the core is interior, the building is become very heavy. Okay, so what the next advancement what they have done is all this interior, this major columns and beams have been taken to the perimeter by creating a hollow space at the interior, that becomes the utility space of the building, so that this columns and beams will resist to the external load. Okay, so I hope you understood what is the meaning of interior type of structures and exterior type of structures. Is it clear? Is it understood? Is it okay? Please give me a feedback. Kritika? Can you hear me? Jagan?
Ma'am.
No. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, did you hear what I said? What you are discussing now, just now? Tell me, what we were discussing now? Jagan?
Ma'am?
What we were discussing just now? Why there was no response from your side?
Ma'am, net lag, ma'am.
Net
When you
illaya?
do-
How do you feel? Your net connection is good in college or at home?
Home, ma'am.
Others, Kritika, Shweta?
Ma'am, same,
Yes,
ma'am.
Hmm.
Using mobile data, ma'am.
Using mobile data. If it is at home,
Wi-Fi, ma'am.
Wi-Fi you can use it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. That you have to represent it. Either you should get a college Wi-Fi, otherwise there is no meaning in coming to campus using a mobile data, isn't it?
Ma'am, Wi-Fi password, college Wi-Fi password ஏதாவது தெரிஞ்சா யூஸ் பண்ணலாம் மேம். ஆனா சொல்ல மாட்டாங்க மேம்.
College Wi-Fi password?
மேம், காலேஜ் வைஃபை பாஸ்வேர்டு வைஃபை பாஸ்வேர்டு தெரிஞ்சதுன்னா யூஸ் பண்ணலாம் மேம். பட் அது கேட்டா யாருக்கும் தெரியல, சொல்ல மாட்டாங்க மேம்.
அப்படியா? அப்போ அது அங்கே உள்ள ஸ்டாஃப் கிட்ட கேட்டுட்டு ஜோனா மேம் கிட்ட ஏதாவது சொல்லி ஐடி மேனேஜர் கிட்ட கேட்கலாமே. ஓகே, ஜோனா மேம் கிட்ட யூ கேன் டெல். ஜோனா மேம் கிட்ட சொல்லி she may ask in the IT manager. IT manager, you have already applied for the college Wi-Fi?
Ma'am, என்னது ma'am?
College Wi-Fi க்கு அப்ளை பண்ணனும். Actually there is a form.
Ma'am, இன்னைக்கு தான் ma'am வந்தோம். நான் இன்னைக்கு பண்ணிரோம் ma'am.
அதுதான். அந்த கேட்டுட்டு there is a form in the website. It is available, I think. Otherwise IT manager will give you a form. You can fill that so that they will create this password for you and they will give to you.
Okay ma'am.
So that you can try. Okay, whatever the material that the PPT I have given to you, this entire content is available there. Okay, if you have missed it, is already recording also it is there. So what we were discussing is about the interior and exterior type of structures. Okay. So I think The detailed part of it, I think I can take in the next class. What are all the structural systems? I hope others also will join, because
Okay, ma'am.
So the next class, this Friday 2 hours, I will be almost completing the different type of structural system. Ask everyone to attend the class. Meanwhile, you apply for the Wi-Fi. Try to get the Wi-Fi connection so that it will be easy for you.
Fine, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, then I think we can leave today.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.